Hello, Father Fred here today. You know, I'm in my daughter Carrie and my son-in-law William's house. The house is 100 years old, and that's means it was 10 years before I was born that this house was made. You might see some of the things now that we're in here. There's a picture of George Washington and a picture of Abraham Lincoln, and you might notice that time flies there. One of them has a Rolex watch, and the other one's got a cell phone. So this house is old and it is beautiful, and my daughter is making it more beautiful. Today we're going to go over chapter 6, after chapter 36. Now, we've got Jacob here. He's going to get his name changed to Israel. And it's got two different writers here. One writer calls him Jacob, the other writer calls him Israel. And when God changes your name, it's going to be something important. So actually what's going to happen is Israel is going to get the name for the whole country, and 12 of his descendants, 10 sons and 2 grandsons, they're going to be named the 12 tribes of Israel. So Jacob's family now is complete. He's got 12 sons, and now they've got one daughter. Only one daughter? That sounds strange, doesn't it? You got 13 kids and just one of them's a girl. Well, the girls do not get their names mentioned unless there's something special going on. Now, today we're going to do the family of Esau. We have finished Jacob's family. Now we're going to switch and do something completely different. And Esau is going to be told by the priestly writer, and that means he's going to have a lot of details. So today we're going to go with chapter 36, but also I want you to have a bookmark because I want to show you something that's so interesting. We're in 36, but I'm going to show you something very interesting also that is in 26. And we're going to start now. Let's look at chapter 36. Open your Bibles to chapter 36, verse 1. Now, we just finished Jacob's family, so we're going to have something completely different. So what are we going to do? The redactor has 2 different stories, and he's going to put them together, and he's going to show how one connects with the other. And this is the way he connects them. Look at verse 1. These are the descendants of Esau, that is Edom. Now, Esau, remember, means red, and Edom means red, and he's going to be in a place named Seir, and it's going to be also red. But first of all, we'll look at that verse 1. When we change from Jacob to Israel, we come in with this to hook them together. Now we're going to see the descendants of Esau. Now I want you to do something. Turn in the same chapter now to verse 9, and we're going to change from the ancestors or children of Jacob. We're going to change it to listing them in order. And we're not going to go through all of these because it gets kind of dull. But to go from 8, which is one topic, to 9, which is another topic, I want you to look how he connects them together. These are the descendants of Esau, ancestor of the Edomites and the highlands of Seir. We're changed subjects. We got this in the middle. These are the descendants of. Now, I would like for you to turn to verse 31 for just a moment. Verse 31 says, now we're going to change from his descendants to a list of kings, and look how he connects them. Verse 31 says, these are the kings who reigned in the land of Edom before any king raised or reigned in Israel. These are the kings, is verse 31. Turn back now to verse 9, and it says, in verse 9, if you find that, these are the descendants of Esau. Now turn back to the very first verse, and it says, these are the descendants of Esau. That's how he's got all of these different stories, and he's tying them together one at a time. And since these have to do with Esau's life, his connecting word is, these are the sons of Hir, these are the sons, these are the kings. And that is his connecting between each of these stories. The Bible didn't start out as one big story. It started out stories of the flood, stories of creation, and these are stories of the son that's named Jacob, and now the son that's going to be named Israel. So let's look now. We're going to start again at verse 1. These are the descendants of Esau, that is, Edom or Seir, and all three of them mean red. And you remember how red has to do with Esau. If you can think back, when he first came out of his mother's womb, he was red and hairy. Then he lost his citizenship, or lost his power of being the first oldest in the family, to a bowl of red stew. It's all about being red. Edom is the land he's going to, and it means red. And Seir is an area in Edom, and it's red. So there's a lot of things going on that if you just read right through, you don't even get them. Let's look at verse 2. Esau took his wives from among the Canaanite women. That's why, another reason, he will never get to go back to live with his family, with the royal family, because he has married Canaanite women. He married Adah, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, Oholibamah, the daughter of Anal, the son of Zebron, and Basemath, the daughter of Ishmael, and the sister of Nebaioth. Right now, I would like for you to take your bookmark, put it where we are. Now, and you can either stop this right now and go back and read this, and then come back and we'll be going over the same thing. But if you can look at both of these things, if you had two Bibles, that would be good. One in chapter 36 and one in chapter 26. But I will read to you what's in 26. First of all, here is in verse 34. Chapter 26, verse 34 says, when Esau was 40 years old, he married Judith, the daughter of Beri, the Hittite. Judith, the daughter of Beri, the Hittite. Now, that is in verse 20. That's in chapter 26, verse 34. He married Judith, the daughter of Beri, the Hittite. If you keep that there and go back and look at chapter 36, we read, Esau took his wives from the Canaanite women, Adah, the daughter of Elon the Hittite. It's two different women. But if you keep reading in 34, look, when Esau was 40 years old, he married Judith, the daughter of Beri the Hittite, and Basemath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite. So now we're going to be marrying in chapter 36, verse 3, and you can write these down because we're back and forth. But the thing is, he marries Basemath, the daughter of Ishmael. In chapter 36, verse 3, he marries Basemath, the daughter of Ishmael. But in chapter 26, verse 34, he marries Basemath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite. Two different ones. The same girl, but it's told with a different story. Now, when we went back up to verse 2 in 36, and I know this is bouncing back and forth, and it's going to be confusing some, but here Esau took wives from among the Canaanite women, Adah, the daughter of Elon the Hittite. This daughter of Elon the Hittite is Adah, A-D-A-H, but in chapter 26, verse 34, it's Basemath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite. So all of that, the only thing that shows you is this. The author is not real concerned to be accurately correct in the women that he marries. He's telling a story of faith, and he might get it from one place while another author gets it from another place. So you got two different authors here. So the wives that Esau marries, they're different ones in different stories. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's look at verse 6. Esau took his wives. This is back in chapter 36. Chapter 36, verse 6. we read, Esau took his wives, his sons, his daughters, and all the members of his household, as well as his livestock and his cattle, and all the property he had acquired in the land of Canaan, and went to the land of Seir, away from his brother Jacob. Here's another difference. Back in chapter 35, he never got to the land with Jacob. He stopped in Edom and stay there. Now he is with Jacob in Canaan, and he's coming back. He gets them, and the very last part says, he acquired in the land of Canaan, and he went to the land of Seir, away from his brother Jacob. He was not with his brother Jacob when he went to there. Verse 7. The possessions he had became too great for them to dwell together. That's the same thing we heard about Abraham, if you can remember way back there. Abraham and his nephew Lot, it said they liked to be together, but the land was not big enough to support both of them. Now, I don't know how much land you have to have, because they had all the land. They had all of it. So surely you could say, hey, we don't have 1,000,000 cows, but the author has to get a way to get Esau away from Jacob. So he's going to say he's leaving them because the land was not enough to support them. Verse 7 again says, the possessions had become too great for them to dwell together in the land in which they were residing. It could not support them because of their livestock. Now, we know where Jacob got his livestock. He robbed Laban. We don't have any idea where Esau gets his, but the problem that they have to have too much animals, too much property and all, or they'll have to separate. And this author has got to get Esau back to his own country, to Edom. It's interesting to see how they work it in to make it look like one story, doesn't it? Let's look at verse 6. Esau settled in the highlands of Seir. So now he's there. He's left his brother now in Canaan, and now he settles in Seir. So what's going to happen now? Now we're going to learn some more about the descendants. So here comes from this story to the next story we have. These are the descendants of Esau, ancestor of the Edomites and the highlands of Seir. Edom, if you look on your map, if you could get a map, one of those chapters back there had a map that I showed you, but I don't remember which one it was. But if you have a map, you can see that Edom is to the east. I'll just put a map here at the end of this when we finish. Edom is going to be to the east of Israel. So he's settled back there now. Now we're going to talk about the kings. These are the names of the sons of Esau, Ephahaz. No, these are going to be his sons, and goes into particular about all the sons now, and even the grandsons. It's got the sons of this, the sons of this, and all of these are just detail after detail, and they're pretty boring to just sit there and read, because first of all, we'll never remember those names anyway. But when we get to verse 17, we're on down to the sons of Reuel, the son of Esau, and the sons of Oholibamath, the wife of Esau. We're still going over in verses 19, and all of these are from the priest. It's just data, data, data. There's no story form to it. So let's look now. We're going to skip on down past all of these sons. And now, verse 31 is where we go from the sons to the kings. And to go from the sons to the kings, we have this to connect them. These are the kings who reigned in the land of Edom before any king reigned over Israel. Now, the first king of Israel was a guy named Saul. And evidently, he has already been in existence, because it says they reigned before there was a king in Israel, so that they knew that there had been a king in Israel. So Saul, at least, had already been there. Then they've got one king and his wife and his children, and we go on down through 42. Kenas is Damon and Absar. He's naming the children. And then last of all, the very end of this chapter is Magdiel and Iram. These are the clans of the Edomites according to their settlements in their territorial holdings. That is, of Esau, the ancestor of the Edomites. Now, this whole chapter was here just to show that Jacob is going to be settling in Israel, and Esau is going to be settling in Moab. He's got 3 different names for that one place. We had it called Edom, Seir, and Esau. All of those mean red. It is not a book that has fallen from heaven. It is not a book that God is dictating. It is a book of stories about God and later on about Jesus. And there is a person that comes and puts them all together, just like we did with the New Testament. We had letters, we had gospel writings, we had Acts of the Apostles, we have the book of Revelation. Those were all separate individuals. Somebody had to take them and put them together. That happened in the year 393 at the council where the bishops came together and they chose what books to put in our New Testament. Now there's going to be, before that, there's going to be, we call her a redactor, call him a redactor or an editor. And it's going to be somebody that lives at the very end because they know all of what has happened. And most scholars say it's going to be that last priest that was there in Jerusalem, and his name was Ezra. So when we talk about a redactor, we're talking about a certain guy that put them together. So we've got a source that's in the South. People use Lord, or maybe Jehovah, or maybe Yahweh. In the North, it's going to be God. The priest has both of these in front of him, and he uses them to put in what he wants to put in, that the priest is trying to tell the people that what they should do. And that priest is almost like, well, it's detailed one after another. Just like, in the chapter 1, that was by the priest. There wasn't no story to it. It was just, God said, let there be the sun, and boom, there's the sun. God said, let there be the moon, boom, there's the moon. It's just one detail after another. Hope you enjoyed that. It's fun, it's interesting, and I think it helps us to understand better what the Bible is when we realize that we're not reading what's coming off of God's lips. And that is scary to some people, because some people say, you're trying to disprove the Bible. But what a scholar is trying to do, and I'm not the scholar, but I can read about scholars, what they're saying. The scholar's not trying to disprove anything. He's trying to make sense of it. He's trying to make sense of why do we have seemingly contradictions, and you can twist them all the way you want to. They're going to be contradictions until you realize there's more than one author involved here. And that's hard, because you've been told that it was all by one guy named Moses, and it was almost like being dictated from God. Funny and interesting. God bless. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. May the Lord bless you.